my question for you today is how will you define any applications, practical applications for the metaverse, and what do you think it should look like in terms of user experience, for example, or design?
Okay. To start off, there are so many practical applications because you can apply it to any kind of field that currently exists, and in many cases, some fields that don't exist or are in their infancy. Because I'm a creative guy, okay, I'm going to talk about the creative impacts of the metaverse. Right now, there is like massive uptake in digital art with uprising of things like NFTs, which I'm not necessarily for. I see them more of a stepping stone, as many of NFTs kind of reek of a pyramid scheme right now, but I can't deny it's prepping the art world for digital art viewing and trading. But currently, some things like art galleries and museums, with, for example, COVID, is a bit tricky to visit because everything keeps shutting down and starting back up. So to combat that, you can create these immersive art viewing spaces displaying all types of art. Also displaying it in forms we've never even seen before. I mean, if they wanted to, you could take the original 3D model of the T-Rex from like Jurassic Park and you could visit it in the metaverse and you could see every detail that you would never even be able to see before. And you can have this unseen information for them as well. And you could even have literally the artist standing next to them, telling you about the piece, bringing in other pieces of reference so it can be a full, expansive, immersive experience unseen before, all powered by the metaverse, effectively. But that's also maybe looking at it just from a virtual reality perspective. If you think about it, we could do the same with augmented reality within the metaverse, but instead of visiting it fully virtually, you would go into the physical art gallery and have it that the hardware you're wearing understands the piece of art, reads it, and then a voiceover happens from the artist explaining the piece. There is a few creative impacts on the metaverse, though. Like, in theory, you should be able to connect all creative outputs, okay? So you could have the Lord of the Rings sword, for example, fighting in a sci-fi battle. And I think there's reasons those IPs don't cross, and we're in danger of having the worst mashup, set mess experiences. But I suppose that some kind of creative regulation needs to be put in place, and that'll have to be worked out along with the rest of it as well. But that's more from the creative side. There's so many other practical uses in the industry. Okay, like one of the fundamentals of the metaverse is based off connection and the interconnectivity of systems. And if you look at currently, the healthcare systems are so archaic. Like, they're based off of systems developed in the 90s. And with a lot of patchwork, they are somehow still going. Like none of them even talk to each other across health boards, for example. But if you apply healthcare to the metaverse, that opens so many doors. You could, for example, have a surgeon conducting an operation, all powered by augmented reality data that has just been discovered on the other side of the world. Connecting in the metaverse is such a practical use for learning in that way.
That's very true. People do tend to forget that any sort of metaverse should also include other types of immersive tech. It shouldn't only be in VR. It could be much more than that.
Yeah, it could be anything, I think, right now. People are looking at the metaverse from more of a fun, sociable perspective, which is great. And that's just how we're going to get the initial buy-in. I mean, but there was Second Life to begin with, and then there was stuff like PlayStation Home, and they've been around for years before this. Like, when people talk about getting married in VR, I was like, okay, well, people have been getting married in World of Warcraft for 20 years, and it's like not a brand new thing what's going on. So what we need to do is look at the metaverse and see where the gaps and holes that we can fill in for things that are going to be new. And that's the idea for bringing things together. It's quite tricky to know if it's actually going to happen because it needs to be decentralized. And the first thing that's going to happen is people are going to try and centralize it. Not naming any names, but there's a massive one that's trying to do it right now. And they can't own it. The whole point is you cannot own, one single entity cannot own the metaverse. That's the whole idea. If we want to try and recreate this idea of an internet 2.0 or a further internet, well, no one can own it, right? Like, that's just the way forward.